It would seem we have a problem. At some point in time, it was determined to make me into a weapon and to try to claim it was a secret. And that weapon was employed. And it resulted in the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. The problem is where I come from and where my spirit comes from. If I fight you in battle and I defeat you, I get claim to what's yours. Justice Scalia was murdered. Nobody said anything about it. If the reason you've kept quiet is because you made the means by which he was murdered a state secret, then what you're also saying is the last three appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States are invalid. Rule 35, death, substitution, and revivor, public officers. If a party dies after the filing of a petition for a writ of certiorari to this court, or after the filing of a notice of appeal, the authorized representative of the deceased party may appear and, on motion, be substituted as a party. The ironic thing is, around the time that Justice Scalia died, I presented an appeal through another forum. And I kept submitting appeals in accordance with the appropriate forum for consideration of the charge at hand that could be proven as factually justified at the time. Up until this day, there's been not only no successful repudiation of my original efforts at filing a grievance and appealing the results that were the outcome of my attempt, but there's been no successful dislodging of or attempt at reparations to the family of Justice Scalia, or a consideration of the profound dishonor that has fallen upon the Supreme Court of the United States as a result of this infamy. Not only that, but the circumstances regarding the alleged resignation of Justice Kennedy are equally suspicious. And the murder of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or rather, the refusal to acknowledge the national security implications of the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that was an execution, are very egregious. Did Ruth Bader Ginsburg agree to co-conspire with the rest of you to cover up for the murder of Antonin Scalia? I contend she did. And she was executed for it. And you've been covering it up. And every single case you have attempted to make a pronouncement on since the death of Antonin Scalia is invalid. It has no legal standing. All three of the most recent alleged appointments to the Supreme Court are farces. And not only that, it calls into question a very significant matter concerning the Honorable Neil Gorsuch, who previously served as the chair of the Advisory Committee on Appellate Rules. By virtue of accepting a false appointment and going through the charade of a confirmation, especially in the manner he did, this has called into question his work on that committee, as well as his colleagues who refused to hold him accountable. We have a very significant problem here. Now, you can continue as you are if you want, but these things have compounded. And even if it was determined at some point in time, which I contend, that somebody decided they were going to leverage the Supreme Court of the United States in underwriting for its insurance scheme following the 2008 banking bailout, well, unfortunately, we have since February of 2016 in arrears, very significantly in arrears, and stealing my work efforts and just trying to use them as part of this pipeline of illegal underwriting is compounded very significantly. See, my understanding is shortly before his untimely demise, Justice Scalia had traveled abroad. I never accepted payment for what occurred, just so you know. And I actually, within 6 months of his death, reported it as fraud and then as terrorism. And I contend to this day, it's still terrorism. And hence, every act under the Supreme Court of the United States since then has been connected to a refusal to expose and address. It is terrorism. It is against the law to threaten a government employee or member of their family with death. It's a capital offense to engage in actions that result in the death of a government official or a member of their family. It's literally considered a capital offense under existing anti-terrorist laws in the United States. But even what would otherwise possibly be acknowledged as a legitimate underwriting on that law is in default for a variety of reasons, up to and including the fact that nobody ever acknowledged or sought prosecution for the murder of Justice Antonin Scalia. It is potentially true. I unknowingly served as, at least in part, the actual causal factors for the death of Justice Scalia. On some level, I confronted him and I challenged him, and in that challenge, the next notice I got was that he was dead. If I am correct, this is a matter that has not been attended to appropriately. And every single other action taken in the name of the Supreme Court of the United States is invalid. It has no legal standing. You cannot assassinate a member of the Supreme Court of the United States and put a charlatan in his stead after allowing for his situs to be vacant as long as you did. There are a number of procedural errors that have been made, but more than that is the grotesque horror of allowing for this kind of terrorism to set policy in accordance with the actions taken by the highest members of the judicial branch in the country. I can't accept it. Nobody else can accept it. If you need to arrest me and charge me with the murder of Antonin Scalia, do it. But I will let you know right now, I have all the proof I need. And it's an ironic thing because on some level, one would have to question, under what authority did I issue the challenge I did at the time I did, in the forum I did, with that kind of precision? And nobody decided to abrogate a completely unconstitutional process that says one is bound to silence on it, that it should be allowed to be misrepresented as a secret. It shouldn't be a secret. He was murdered. I know how. I know who did it. You haven't succeeded in executing me, but it's been more than 5 years since that event occurred. And there are 3 false justices on the Supreme Court right now. This is compounded, and this is very significant. You either have to eliminate me, or you're going to have to address this appropriately. And I believe, in some manner, a certain statute of limitations has already occurred when it comes to finding some alternative or derivative process whereby you're attempting to offset the liabilities that have already accrued in association with this infamy. I cannot pass on the situs. I cannot pass on the legacy of Justice Scalia. And because of that, Justice Gorsuch is not legitimately authorized to be in his position. Period. This has resounded the entire time since. It was a completely false proceeding. It was a completely false confirmation. And everybody that aided and abetted it put the entirety of the Department of Justice on the line. And everything the Department of Justice has done since he was allowed to commit that slander against the Department of Justice during his confirmation hearing, also has profound consequences. We're going on over 4 years since that time frame. And then we have two more alleged justices of the Supreme Court that are just as compromised. This is unacceptable. I apologize. Apparently, I was supposed to know Latin. Wait, apparently I do. And this isn't competitive sport. There was supposed to be more decorum. You were supposed to have attended to this already. You have not, and it has compounded.